Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I figured I'd come on with some of the things I've been working on while we've been sheltering it in place. Over the weekend or going into the weekend, I managed to catch a live chat with Miss Ilene Payne here on YouTube, and she was just crafting and doing some stuff and talking to whoever joined in. And she kind of inspired me to start digging out my scraps and working through those. So I figured I would share some of the things that I was working on. So I have this bin that I got from the dollar store, and I just have a whole bunch of different random stuff in here. So let me just dump this out. And she was doing these banner tags to just have ready. So I just pulled out a ton of scraps. And I still have, let me just get it here, a ton of scraps that I'm still working with, making different things, just to have ready. So I made a bunch of these, and I didn't staple them, but I had a ton of these brads, and I used that instead because depending on what I'm going to use it on, I don't know if I'm going to want them like that or if I'm going to want them spread out. I had done these rosettes, so I don't know if I'm going to want to make it into like an award, a bow, I don't know, or if I want to add them on top and across. So I figured I'll use brads just to be able to have that option. So I did a bunch of those, and I did some with gold ones, silver ones. I even used colored ones on a few of them, and they're all different sizes, lengths. I did these like arrows. So I did a bunch of those. While she was doing them, I was doing them. And then I recently received from SugarRayCrafts, she had did these paperclip embellishments for me, and I've never done them, so I pulled out. Now I didn't have the big ones, I only had the small ones, like this. So I figured I would start and do some mini ones since I had my scraps out. So I did some just like that, some have double, single, double. I think that's all I did for those, is it? Yeah, that's all I did. And I didn't want to, since I already had a huge mess of paper lying around, I didn't want to start pulling out like my flat backs and all that other stuff. I did pull out a few of these die cuts that I did have, just to see if that was too big, too small, just to get an idea where I was going with this. So I only did a few of those. I thought I did more. Oh yeah, there's another one here. See, I had some of the card parts I pulled out. Yeah, so that's what I did there. While she was crafting, I was doing some other stuff. And then I did these rosettes. And I left the centers blank. I had enough of a scrap just to have, to make this size rosettes. But I did all of these. And I don't have a punch that's smaller than this size without having to die cut. So I just did a ton of those. Yeah. When I do rosettes, I have to be in the mood to do rosettes. And I had a small enough piece to make it this size. So I did those. And I just have to finish working with those. And then I pulled out some paper liners that I've had. I was experimenting how I wanted them cut. Some I did in half fans, different sizes. I was thinking maybe, oh, got a mini one, that maybe, let's see, if I manage to find the paper clips larger, then I might do like layering pieces like that. I believe it was Annie Creates had sent me for my challenge, had sent me some thank you cards that she actually used the paper liner in a half circle and layered up pieces in her center, and it just looked stunning. So that inspired me to pull out my my cupcake liners and see what layering I can do there. You see that? So I pulled out some of my least favorites just to get an idea, and then once I figured it out, I was like, okay, I can do that. Maybe I can bring it a little longer. See, I cut the center out of that, but this one I kind of just scrunched it up. So I was experimenting with that, and then I pulled out my big ones, and I was like, okay, I think I know where I'm headed with that, so I'll definitely share that when I get there. So that's in my little bin. And then I was YouTube hopping, and I ran into Miss Susan Tootsie Tucker here, and she was working on some butterflies. And I pulled out my butterfly die, and I made these cuties. Now I'm thinking of adding some bling in the center, but it's a shadow die with the detailing one. So I cut the detailing out of pattern paper. Then I cut the shadow in vellum, and then a complementing solid piece in the back. So I only made a few of those because I have to hand crank these bad boys. And it was getting late in the evening. I did these last night. And then this one, I actually used a gift bag. And this one was a little thick. This one was a little tricky how to use a shim. But I think it just came out pretty because the pattern on the bag was stunning. So I only made 3 of those. And then I went on and oh no, there's a couple more. So I have this tray. And I had my coffee die out. And I started cutting out of the papers that I thought I can get a decent sized coffee cup that I can work with. I had these pre-cut, so I just got to cut out the lids and then figure out what the embellishment is going to be in the center and just have those on the side. And I have a few more of these vellum butterflies. And oh, here goes a few more. I was going to layer these. I left them here, but as you can see, then I was playing what was going to work with what side, so I wasn't too happy with that. So you can see I didn't glue it, and I had some extra pieces there, and I have that one there. Some more in case I want to do rosettes. I have some more strips there, and then the smaller pieces where I cut out, I made these little mini flowers. So I think I'm going to use these as shred to add in to Happy Mail or Friend Mail. And then I noticed on one of my scraps, this caught my eye, but then I saw this in the back, so I left this one alone. But you can see all the different flowers in there. So really taking that no paper left behind to a whole new level. So these are still work in progress. And I also, I'm running out of space, I don't know where to put them. I made, this is a box that my best friend sent me from Georgia. They're layering boxes, and I made a ton of crepe paper rosettes. So I figured now for Easter and spring, and these I'll probably end up die cutting. I might make some squares and maybe some circles and use that as layering pieces on my embellishments. This is when I started getting tired. You see the difference? They do get better and easier as you do them, but when you're tired, it's time to call it quits. So I made in blue, different shades of blue. I think I have some orange in here. Yeah, I have a few orange, lots of white. I have some tan in here as well, like an off-white. And then I don't have a sewing machine. So, but I do like, oh, and then I did mini ones. I do like the look of the layered rosettes, especially for bag toppers. So I stapled a few of them, and then depending on the color and the trim and the lace that I have, I can always cover that up so you don't see the staples. So I made a few of those when I got tired of going in circles. I didn't do them in all colors, but in the safe colors. So I made a few of those in different sizes, and I can just cut them down. And then, and this is all while I'm sitting in front of the TV, I got inspired to do tassels, and I've never made tassels before. And what I used was the cross stitch thread. And years ago, I used to cross stitch when my vision was much better. So I had all this thread, and I was like, what am I going to do with it? So I figured I'd make tassels. And I have another tray of this. I think my daughter has it. It's bigger than this one. But what better way to use what you have, right? And then I had bought these beads from the dollar store, and these jump rings, I believe, from Amazing Savings. Yeah, I think it was Amazing Savings. And then I got the ribbon from Joann's, and I made these tassels. So I have to get maybe a silver ribbon, and I try to make them in different sizes. Now, if I can find the tutorial that I used to make these, I'll definitely leave it down below. But I made them in all different colors. So these are the finished ones. Some of them have 3, some of them have 2, some of them are longer than others. I love this black one though. The ones that I had a gold bead on, I did the gold trim. So I have all of those. So these are all the ones that are finished, and they're all varying lengths. So now this one I wasn't too happy with. This string was just very crinkly, so I might just take this one apart and call it a loss. But you see here, I want to get like a silver or a white thin ribbon. I think white would look prettier. So I have these that I haven't finished. And then you can see how I put them together. The tutorial is very easy to follow. This bead, I love this bead, but it's very difficult to work with. And sometimes, well, you get it from the dollar store, so what do you expect? Sometimes they do break apart. So when they did, I just took some of the layering pieces and added them as center pieces. But I have a ton of those, as you can see. Yeah, here goes the rings that I used. And this is a piece of chipboard that I use to just measure out my strings. And I believe I do 30 turns to get it to be this full. So I did those. And this is the length that I use for my ribbon. That's my sample. I did those, and then my daughter, she gifted me, since she saw I was doing beads, this little case that she had. And in here, ooh, what flew? I heard something. In here, she has all these metal pieces, like that one, that I can use. And this looks like an antique brass. She has a lot of different jump rings in here, and this one says made for you. And I thought these were super cute to work with. So she gifted me the entire box. Then she has some guitars. Isn't that cute? In here as well. She has some airplanes and some letters. And then in here, she has like this bridge, good for mixed media. She also has some earring pieces in here. What is this? Isn't that cute? Looks like a mini suitcase. I think. It's adorable. But yeah, she has a lot of different stuff in here. She also has some big pieces. I think she was trying to get into like jewelry making at one point. But these will be good. See, she was working on some other stuff in here. Those are the big planes. Yep. Then she has some of these that would be great for mixed media, and she has them in different colors. Oh, she also has guns in here. I don't know how I'll use that, but that's interesting. And then she has these Eiffel Towers. They're adorable. She has a lot of those in here. Then she had also given me some of these pieces, like the heart and the locket with the key, the dragonfly. And these are the earring pieces. Then she had these wood veneers in here. And she also has, it looks like from Mockingjay. Could be. And she has a bunch of different things in here. She also has a chain that if I needed to use. And she has them in different colors. She has different claps in here. So yeah, I figured I'll share that and see what I can come up with. I'm really appreciative of that. She's such an enabler. So yeah, I just wanted to share that. This is what I've been working on, little projects here and there. Haven't been feeling too inspired. You know how it is now that you have all the time in the world to do it. You just don't do it. I don't understand. But anyway, I would love to see what you guys have been working on. And please leave a comment down below, and let's share some inspiration amongst all of us. All right, until the next one, guys. Bye.